Welcome to the AM Update, Week in Review. A collection of the best moments from Aaron McIntire's Morning Update.
This week, during my trip to Washington, D.C. for my day job, had a chance to visit the headquarters of the Heritage Foundation and talk to a guy I have a lot of respect and admiration for. Here's my conversation with Tim Young. I'm here in Washington, D.C., at the headquarters of the Heritage Foundation, also known as the headquarters of Project 2025. And I'm here with Project 2025's chief propagandist, Tim Young. And Tim, I mean, these facilities are incredible. I walked in this morning, and on my left, against the glass enclosure, there were just a bunch of pregnant women in handmaids' outfits. And again, they're behind glass. You can just watch them be pregnant. It's incredible. And then on the other side, also in a glass enclosure, were the dungeons where they keep the gays. There are just really exciting things going down right now at Project 2025.
I have been waiting for that myself, actually, to see that in reality. Which, what's weird is we have to clarify that actually isn't real, because I think that people would believe it. Yeah. There are people who actually protest outside that were taking turns, like literally, it looked like 24 hours a day they were protesting for a long time when I first came in here. It was very hard for me not to say hello to them. And my favorite, though, there was a guy who was outside. I went to get coffee down the street, and he was outside screaming all sorts of obscenities, and nobody will come out here and talk to me. You cowards, come, and he's like, you cowards, come out here and talk to me. And I walk by and I go, hey, what's going on, man? He goes, hey, have a good day. And I go, hey. And then I turned into the doorway of Heritage, and I turned back around and waved and kind of winked and turned into the building. And so it was like, like this guy thinks that, again, a lot of these protesters I think are paid, but, they think everything is evil and crazy and whatever. And I'd have a conversation with him if he wanted to actually sit down and not be a lunatic. It's not right. A problem. But they really do. I think people really do believe the Handmaid's Tale stuff and the dungeon stuff, or like concentration camp stuff is another one of my gay friends actually came to me.
One of your favorites.
Yeah, one of my friends thinks that he's going to get put in a gulag, and I'm like, are you kidding me? It's not. Come on, man.
No. It is comical the degree to which that document just created so much panic. But no, Heritage Foundation, the long-time, just leading think tank on the right. If you love this country, they have done yeoman's work, necessary work for many, many years before I was even born, before you were even born, Tim.
Yeah. And the mandate for leadership has been out. So Project 2025 is the mandate for leadership. Yeah. It's been out since 1980. Every 4 years they put one out. Yeah. So I don't know if this is the first. This is the only thing I don't know is if this is the first.
It just sounds scary.
Project. Yes. It doesn't sound scary.
No, it sounds scary if you have pudding for brains.
Yes.
Yeah. You are the new fellow?
I'm the media fellow
for strategic communications, and I want to talk to you about a prevailing or conventional wisdom when it comes to what went down in the 2024 election and what put President Trump over the top. First, though, of course, this week the big news story has been the first 100 days, and you are an excellent comedian. And I think very much, in a secular culture, the best you can do for profits, I think, comedians, because the pastors aren't doing their jobs. And I think you go to a stand-up comedy show from Tim Young, you're probably getting more truth than 95% of the pulpits out there. It shouldn't be that way. Even you would agree to that. Yeah. But you would agree that that assessment is probably true. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. First 100 days. We talked on a live stream just a little bit ago. We talked a few months ago, right after the inauguration. You didn't really see, and I couldn't honestly say that I was hoping to see what we saw, especially in the first 2 weeks, but it's really that same theme, that blitzkrieg, go on offense theme, has been echoed over the first 100 days. And I'll say it again, and I've said it to this audience, if you drew up a president, a president that you could actually, imagine, not just drawing up your wildest fantasies, but one that could actually be accomplishable in the year 2025, it wouldn't look a whole lot different than the Trump administration. Do you agree with that assessment overall? And what have been your biggest takeaways for them from the first 100 days?
Well, number one, the first 100 days thing is a shtick. Who was it? Was it Eisenhower that it came up with? Was
so. It was one of those guys.
It was one of the early ones that it wasn't even a thing, and I guess the media needed something to play with at some point, and so they created it. You're right. I think that there is not much more Donald Trump could do. I don't think he's got time to sign much more. I mean, literally, his hand must cramp every day with the executive orders that I love, by the way, that he's signing. I mean, he is done everything he can possibly do as the executive, as the president of the United States in the first 100 days. Now the follow-up is going to be the problem because, again, he's only one man. And granted, there was a time where what the president did was respected, and you didn't have massive overrun bureaucracies in every major executive agency. So now what's happening is, and he got in great cabinet secretaries too. I love it. I love that we have a Secretary of Defense who can do push-ups and jog. Crazy concept. I don't know when the last time that was that we had one.
Even those things feel like wins because of how far down the rabbit hole we were. But continue. I'm sorry.
I mean, health secretary that's healthy.
Yes.
I mean, it's insane. Like you said, we were so far down the rabbit hole. We're back. We have normal things. We're actually America First policy. But the problem now is when you have bureaucracy that is 95% Democrat in this town, when you have no staffing in for these cabinet secretaries, when you have a judiciary who is now kind of going rogue and going against Trump and doing everything they can to stop him, the real battle begins. And on top of all of this other stuff, all of these negatives, you have a positive that people are still excited that he won in November. Mm-hmm. But they're still spiking the football, and they forgot that there's work to do, and there's not sexy work to do. There are local elections. There are just elections in general. There are midterm elections. You can't stop working once you have a win. Like it's sort of like the I don't know if you ever saw there was a baseball player, I forget his name. He was a rookie of the year in like 97, 98 for the Kansas City Royals. Are you a baseball guy?
It used to be. I was a Cardinals guy when I was a young kid. I'm loosely aware of this season and history of it.
I want to say his name was Bob Hamlin. And this guy won Rookie of the Year. And he went home and he got fat. And he stopped working out. And he came back and he didn't make the cut for the team, basically. He completely ruined his career because he celebrated after he became Rookie of the Year, went home, got lazy, and that was it. And I fear that we just won literally the most important election of our lifetimes, but it just doesn't stop there. Mm-hmm. And so there's so much more work to be done, and I just don't think people are focused.
Yeah, and it's not like actually let's segue to this. It's not like in this day and age, it's that hard to really fight back on the levels that need to be that is required to actually win a long-term victory against the left. It's not that hard. I mean, there are things like the Veebs app.
Yeah.
Just scan a frickin' barcode. Scan a barcode, and this app will tell you whether or not you're supporting a left-wing company. And you're actually CEO or president or CEO, spokesman.
Yeah, thanks for doing a better promo of them than I did on the live stream that we just did. So the Veebs app is incredible. It's literally one of the ways to keep yourself informed. You scan the UPC code on a product, like you just said, because nobody's going to change, and a lot of people don't have the options to change where they go shopping. So, and nor is there just a store that's like all conservative products or whatever. But so you go and you scan the UPC codes when you go to the stores, and it shows you literally. We have a research team that digs into these NGOs and where all of these companies are sending their money. It shows you just how conservative or liberal a company is on a scale of 0 to 100, depending on the settings, and then gives you information on the parent company and product alternatives. It's incredible. It wasn't my idea. It was somebody else's idea, and I just happen to be the CEO of this company now. But it is just it's a proactive way to kind of win the culture war.
And that's it. It's not that hard. I downloaded it. You told me about it. I downloaded it. I was scanning stuff within 5-10 minutes. Yeah. It's that easy. There are, of course, harder things to do that must be done. You mentioned local elections, things of that nature. That's a big thing.
That's a big thing.
When it comes to the trade war, Secretary Bessent of the Treasury, my favorite homosexual economist, he has said something to the effect of, we want to see results. And I appreciate that. And I think they will see some results. I really do think that they will see some results. But when it comes to trade, those holes and those unfair deals were not dug overnight. Okay? It was over a generation, especially the last 20 years. The holes we've dug culturally, down to the local level, where these local elections are happening, those aren't going to be able to be undug or dug out of overnight. I think a lot of people on the cultural level want to see results tomorrow. And if they don't see results tomorrow or in a month, they lose interest. When the reality is, and we talked about this on the live stream we just did, how much of an appetite do you think there is from, I mean, you are out there. You've been on every single platform conceivable or variety of platform conceivable, medium conceivable. You've been out amongst the Gen Pop, people who agree with you, people who hate your guts. How much of an appetite amongst the people who actually love this country and want to see it continue is there for the truth? What I think is the truth is that if you do your job now and you train your kids to do their job, if you have kids at all, maybe in your grandchildren's lifetimes, we will restore America to what we were told it was when our parents were growing up. How much of an appetite do you think there is for that truth? Or do you think that's accurate?
Is there an appetite for the truth that it's going to take a lot of time and hard work? That's not there. The problem is, again, we are in a society where there are people want immediate results. They want things fast. They want their immediate gratification for what they've done. And we're in a situation that I keep saying this over and over again when I talk about it. It just isn't sexy. Like this isn't a sports game. This isn't a 9-inning. Even baseball was too long, right? And so they set pitch clocks up now so that you can get out of a game in like under 2.5 hours. This is a long game, and it's a long game I don't think a lot of people are ready to fight for. The Democrats have been willing to fight for this for a while. There's a group in this local election in my hometown. The gay Satanists are actually, they have their logo is a rainbow pentagram, and they have weighed in on local elections in my hometown. And I'm like, how do we get to this point where that's a thing? And it's because we have let our culture go, and we've let our local areas go to the point that they feel empowered that they can come in. And I just don't think people see it. I think people saw it when it was Trump and Kamala, and there was, all of these things happening with children where they were actually coming for your children, and it was, there's pornography in schools, and it was right in your face, and there was these big national stories. I just don't think that people are willing, and it could also be that they don't have the time, but we don't have a choice at this point, but to fight back and stand up and be proactive in what we do. It scares me that my answer is people don't want to work hard, and people don't see the fight ahead, and they don't have a realistic grasp on what needs to be done to win.
More from my conversation with Tim Young, Media Fellow for Strategic Communication at the Heritage Foundation, coming up next. What you're describing is people who are asleep.
Yes.
From your vantage point, maybe asking this question a different way or from a different angle. How many people are wake-upable? How many people do you think can be woken up?
Stop this. Give me this microphone.
You're out there.
This is
more than the average.
I know, and I pay attention, and I'm on Twitter, X.
Yeah.
And I see reactions to things and how people behave on there and what they're paying attention to and what they're not paying attention to. How wake-upable are people? You're depressing me. I want to believe. The truth is out there. What is it? The X-Files? Like, the truth is out there. I want to believe that people can wake up. I think more and more people are waking up. I think the school board issues woke people up a few years ago, and I think they're still paying attention. But if you're not awake and you're not proactively awake after this last election and after what we just saw and where this country was headed, the direction it was in, then we're in really big trouble. And I hate to fall on, we're in really big trouble.
So you are fellow for Media and Strategic Communications.
So I'm the Media Fellow for
Media Fellow.
Communications.
Son of a gun.
It's
Not
a
fellow
title.
Media Fellow.
Yeah.
Okay. For Strategic Communications.
Yes.
The prevailing wisdom is, I think maybe we're going to come to some sort of an answer for a couple of questions. The very depressing questions that I just answered. I think we might come close to an answer here. So you are Media Fellow.
Yes.
For Strategic Communications.
Yes. If you can just ask me about my title instead of the deeper questions that are depressing, that'd be great.
Media Fellow. The prevailing wisdom in the 2024 election is that a lot of these long-form podcasts that President Trump joined, Andrew Schultz, Theo Vaughn, those are the two of the big names that people talk about, but there was a YouTuber, Hassan, or whatever his name was, pretty big YouTuber, streamer guy. I mean, he actually went and visited some of these people, and I loved those conversations. I really did. And you know me, I've said some nasty things about President Trump in the past, and even I was like, oh, man, that's a real dude there. That's actually a real guy there. That's really cool. Do you agree with the prevailing wisdom that those long-form podcasts actually helped him win in 2024? I do, but I want to hear your perspective.
I absolutely do, because it opened him up to an audience and it made him look real. It's easy to be fake as a politician when you have a 5-minute, even a 15-minute interview. When you start going past, except for Kamala Harris, who was the worst. Like, she couldn't get past 60 seconds of an interview without her looking just lost and plastered or whatever she looked like. But Trump is real, and it comes out because you can't practice, you can't prepare for a 3-hour conversation. You can't prepare for an hour conversation. You never know where things are going to go. And these weren't pre-screened questions. He went in, and they let him have it.
Yeah.
And he answered the questions honestly. He tells stories. He's just a normal guy. So yes, I think that's actually why you saw, I think those podcasts in a big way were why minority males started to shift towards him, because they want somebody who's real. And they realized that Kamala absolutely was not. So absolutely, whoever came up with the ideas to put him on those podcasts, and of course him saying yes, it was out of the box, even though it's common sense to somebody like you and me, but in politics, completely out of the box. Brilliant move. Absolutely brilliant move.
So I think his authenticity really, I think it showed his authenticity. It showed the host's authenticity as well, but they're used to that type of conversation. I think maybe the key is, what is kind of that not silver bullet, I don't want to say that because there is no silver bullet, but is there, from your vantage point, as Digital Fellow for Strategic Communications?
No, Media Fellow for Strategic Communication. Get it right.
Fellow Media? Did I say fellow
You're
media?
doing this on purpose at this point.
Yeah. Is there something like that to awake people for local issues? And that's something that the people at the local level, that's not something that people over the top from air cover like places like Heritage can necessarily do. It's going to rely and depend upon people at the local level just waking their fellow people up. But the only way you can do that, I mean, you can have your own blowtorch at the local level. You know, you can have your own social media presence or even little podcast, relatively speaking, at the local level. But it's going to take that type of thing and stories like you heard, authentic stories like you heard at the local level through independent media that I think is going to shine through. And we're also facing an inflection point as well. You know, I think it's pretty well. I don't know how much you follow terrestrial radio these days, but I think the story has been told that the national corporate model of doing local radio is cooked. Yeah. It's gone. And so there's a big opening, I think, for people at the local level to do their own independent media. And that's, I think, I think that's the way forward here, because there isn't an appetite at large for doing hard work and knowing that, hey, I might not be able to see this pay off in my lifetime.
Well, so one of the things that I want to do, you can edit that out. One of the things I want to do as Media Fellow for Strategic Communications here
Fellow
at the
media.
Yes, exactly. It's digital guy. Is make again. So for me, being a part of this organization, the Heritage Foundation, I always say I feel like I'm in Disneyland for conservatives, right? Because if I want to know something, especially with me having my own podcast, if I want to know something, I can get one of our experts on and talk about it. I mean, we've got Dr. Jay Richards here, who 2 weeks ago I did an 88-hour water fast where you don't eat, you just drink water. and he's a guy who wrote a book, Eat, Fast, Feast, and has linked like the biblical kind of connections with fasting and all of the, like, it's really cool. Just a brilliant man, right? And so in my fantasy land where I live now, in Disneyland for conservatives, I do this fast and I can just have him on my show and talk about it, right? And it's so cool. I want to get people excited about conservatism, and I want to humanize these brilliant minds here at this organization, for them to really just be able to educate, for people to be empowered and educated with the knowledge that these experts have, and just kind of bring it into digestible bits for people. So then when they're in their hometown, when they're in their local areas, they're empowered and they're intelligent and they understand the world in a new way that they can share with their neighbors, because ultimately the way that this country improves is communication with our next door neighbor, not otherizing people, which is what the left really tried to do, I think, since before COVID, when we're breaking things down by race, when we're breaking things down by vaccine or not, just being out in your community and having conversations with your neighbors, and then also being empowered and enlightened by the experts at the Heritage Foundation who, man, it's so cool for me. Again, like to be like the guy who wears a hoodie and a cap all the time and wanders around the building and just has access to all of these great minds and all of their work. And I want everyone else to be, again, I'm a nerd and I'm a political nerd, I'm a conservative political nerd, but I want everybody else, the normies out there, to realize like what's going on. Like the other day, and sorry to like kind of go off on a ramble here, but like the other day I had on E.J. Antoni, who is an economic expert here. He's an economist, brilliant man. And I had no idea that the Bureau of Labor Statistics, who does the jobs reports, also is the group that calculates inflation. Did you know that?
Bureau of Labor Statistics?
Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I did not know that because I'm dummy. And again, you do this, you probably pay attention more than me sometimes. But how many people know that a Biden appointee is in charge of the Bureau of Labor Statistics, who put out these jobs numbers that had to be constantly recalculated down, and also gets to choose what is in the calculation for inflation? So numbers are getting manipulated all over the place by these people. Yep. It's unbelievable. I did not know that it was the same group that did both. And that's really eye-opening. And it's little things like that. I mean, granted, that is such a simple thing, but it's something that not a lot of people know, especially if I don't know. I assume that everybody else is dumber than me. So, like, it is just that knowledge that I want everyone to know and be enlightened at the same rate or faster than I was, so then they can take that knowledge into their hometowns, and we have a fighting chance.
It's good stuff, Tim. Or we could just do handmaids, just repopulate with that and throw all the gays back in the dungeon. We could do that too. One inside baseball question really quick.
Yeah.
Really quick. What the hell is going on with X?
Well, if you hire someone to run your account and pull video clips all day long that you don't, you're not the creator of, and you post every 3 to 5 minutes, the algorithm really likes you. If you, like me and you, have a real job and do things in the real world and post for yourself. By the way, I think I'm the only account with over 1 million followers that doesn't have a full staff. I think that and I mean this across the board, I think I'm the only person who doesn't have a full staff posting on social media all day long and pulling clips into playing this game. I wish the algorithm rewarded thought and not frequency and like unoriginal video. I think they'll fix it, but I think there's a conversation to be had there, and luckily I'm in a position where I can probably sit down with someone from X and have that conversation. But right now, man, my feed sucks. And also I'm tired of the people who engagement farm by saying, President Trump did XYZ. Do you agree with this? Yes or no? There's so many of those posts all day long, and it's just tiring, and it's made X kind of boring to me.
One more question. I lied. What do you notice about this interview? I'm just kidding. That's Tim Young. He is media fellow for strategic communications at the Heritage Foundation. I'm tired of talking to you. I want to go down and look at the pregnant handmaids downstairs again.
I think they're out in the pasture now.
Okay. Tim, thank you very much. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks for having me.
This has been the AM Update Week in Review. The AM Update will be back on Monday and every weekday at 4 a.m. Eastern Time.